So I want to talk about the family unit and the sibling relationships and how it's affecting us today and how we can raise our consciousness to see how we've been carrying around some old programming and stuff and let that go so we can move on and move forward. First thing is about family systems theory in psychology, and this is an awesome theory. And it basically is saying that in a family unit, even a dysfunctional family unit, every person is playing their part. They're playing a role. Even if the conditions of that role are damaging and hurtful, each person is playing its part, and as long as they do, the unit will function and maintain a homeostasis. But if one person starts to get out of that role and challenge it, then all hell breaks loose and there's chaos, there's escalation, there's drama, and things get really, really bad. So here's the thing. As we're going through our healing journey, we may identify areas of our life or a couple areas where we are consistently stuck. We are consistently finding roadblocks. These areas of our life that take us years or decades to overcome. So as we look back and we can see the role of ourselves in our family system and then that of our siblings. And this is not about blaming our parents or blaming our siblings. This is about taking responsibility, having awareness, raising consciousness, and choosing what we want to do right now in the present moment and then in the next moment. So we may see that we had this role of that we had to excel in school or we had to excel in sports. We had to be the best student and not only get a college degree, we had to get an advanced degree. We had to make a lot of money. Or maybe your role in the family was to be the caretaker and the peacemaker, and you had to support your parents emotionally and maybe even financially. Maybe you had a parent who couldn't work because of an addiction or because of a disability or any number of reasons, and you had to give part of your paycheck as a teenager to support the family. You had to be there for everyone else and no one was there for you. You never got to have your needs made known and met by your caretakers because you were the caretaker. Or maybe you were the scapegoat and all of the problems were your fault. You absorbed everything, all the pain, all the hurt, all the feelings. And you were the one that everyone pointed their finger at and said, what is wrong with you? You need fixing. There's something fundamentally flawed about you. And so you were the target so that everyone could focus on you as needing to be fixed instead of actually looking at themselves. So we go throughout our lives and we can see that we struggle consistently in certain areas. Why is that? We consistently struggle to find a healthy relationship or to be able to make money or to have to be in good physical health or to have our bodies be at a good weight. Or that we're always afraid all the time. We tend to be in victim mentality. You know what? These tapes that we're playing, they get old. At some point, you can look at the fear that keeps coming up or whatever it is and say, you know what? I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the fear. It gets boring. I've noticed this in my own life as well. These old tapes will pop up and I'm like, oh, that again. And you know you're starting to turn a corner when you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that old tape. Nah, let me do something else. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to that old stuff and play that again. We all have our version, of that old voice. Maybe it's self-doubt. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe it's saying you're not good enough. Maybe it's saying you don't deserve, because that's what we learned growing up. So maybe if you learned among your siblings that you're not deserving, you don't deserve to have a good career, you don't deserve money, you don't deserve abundance, you don't deserve a loving partner that will stay with you and a healthy relationship, you don't deserve, name it. Okay, So if you're looking back and you're making connections, you're connecting the dots, and you see, oh, I see it. I see where I learned that. And that was my role in the family, was to be the one that was to accept the crumbs, to accept so little. And it became your mission to not only, it became this issue of pride, an issue to prove to others. See how little I can get by on? And it became something to almost brag about or to prove to others. So there's a couple issues within that. You learned a deep, deep level of being undeserving. That's one thing. And the second thing is you learned that you needed other people's approval. You had to demonstrate to others so that then you could get their approval to say, see, I'm doing it. I'm doing what I was taught to do when I was a kid. Think about that 7-year-old version of you. And what would you say to her or to him now? Let that 7-year-old or that 10-year-old or that 15-year-old, and I want you to love the hell out of that child. And right now, you can tell that inner child, say it out loud, and you can tell that child, you are free from this burden. You are free from these lessons you learned, that it is not true. It is not who you are. It is not serving you. I free you from the constraints of this stuff you learned. It's not helping you now. It's just going to hold you back. It's just going to make life more difficult. And it's not even true. It is a program that someone else imposed upon you that you needed to do at that time, because that allowed you to function in that family system. It was a survival mechanism, a coping mechanism. That's what you needed to cope and to function in the family unit. You're not in that unit anymore. But when those tapes resurface, we have awareness now. We can say, yep, hey, there's that old fear again. I'm afraid I'm going to freak the hell out. I'm afraid it's all going to disappear and the shoe is going to drop. I'm afraid I'm going to wake up one day and it was all a dream and I actually don't deserve this. I'm going to go back to the way things were. I'm afraid what they told me, what my parents told me or my siblings told me, whomever, I'm afraid they're going to be right. And I really am a fraud. I really am just a piece of crap. I really am worthless. Whatever it was you were told. So, that's just the old tape. Get rid of it. Throw it out. And we can do that when we have consciousness. And then after that, it's just a practice of choosing in the moment. I see it, it's coming up. Do I want to engage with it? Do I want to take it on, identify with it? Yeah, I really am a piece of shit. Do we want to do that? Or do we want to say, there's that old stuff and I am feeling so much better and I feel so much freer, and I am freer because I'm more closely aligned with my higher self, with my true self, with the purpose I came into this life for. And it doesn't matter what happened. It's in the past. It doesn't matter. So free yourself from those chains of stuff, all the drama, all the trauma that you learned growing up. It's just the conditions of your upbringing. It doesn't have to be your conditions now. Layer by layer, peel that back until you get to that shining light that is within you. That's my message for today. Thank you so much for being here and for joining me, for working on yourselves. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.